Through real-time video from cameras mounted on street lights and body-worn camera, we now have a better idea of exactly what happened. You're going to look inside a 33-second window from when tensions escalated until shots were fired.
Get ready for a YouTube video that details a recent lawsuit filed against a Denver police officer by 4 bystanders who were injured during a police shooting. The incident occurred in Denver's lower downtown Lodo area in the early hours of July 17th, just as bars were letting out. The police officers were attempting to take Jordan Waddy, 21, into custody after he was allegedly involved in an altercation outside of Larimer Beer Hall. However, Waddy began to move towards the crowd in front of the beer hall, and officers claimed he was reaching for a gun. They opened fire on Waddy, hitting him and injuring 6 innocent bystanders. Blindfolds could not have made this shooting any worse. Officer Brandon Ramos, one of the 3 officers involved, was indicted by a grand jury and charged with multiple counts of assault, prohibited use of a weapon, and reckless endangerment. He was suspended without pay and is the only defendant named in the lawsuit. Officer safety seems to be what's important these days with the Back the Blue propaganda nonsense, and according to the Blue Line flag, the rest of society can kindly go fuck themselves every which way. The taxpayers and/or constituents always fork the bill for government failures. Your minor discrepancy of a civil rights violation isn't enough for vampiric lawyers to feed off of. The 4 plaintiffs in the lawsuit suffered both physical and emotional injuries as a result of the shooting.
I knew pretty quickly within a few seconds that I had been hit because I could feel the warmth of the blood going down my arm. Looked up at him as we're still moving, told him I had been shot.
I heard a second gunshot, and that's when I felt like I got hit with the baseball, like 100 miles an hour type of thing. We think that we're safe, but situations like this makes you think that, makes you feel like you'll never be safe again.
Bailey Alexander was shot in her right shoulder and upper right arm, causing physical impairment. Yekalo Weldahiwet was also hit and underwent surgery to repair his shattered humerus. Willis Small IV was struck on the outside of his left foot, and Mark Best was hit in the chest and suffered second-degree burns. The plaintiffs are seeking compensatory and consequential damages for their medical expenses, lost wages, and emotional distress. They are represented by Rathod Vertical Bar Mohammed Bai LLC, which aims to hold Officer Ramos accountable for his extremely reckless act of violence and demonstrate to the Denver Police Department that excessive, lethal force without justification will not be tolerated. Despite the tragedy, there is hope for justice and accountability for innocent victims of police violence. Government will never hold itself accountable, so don't be afraid to pick up a camera, record, and ask questions. Thank you all for tuning in to San Joaquin Valley Transparency. Subscribe, like, and share.
Commander, recognizing it was a split-second decision, sitting here now 3 days later, could this have been handled better?
I think the officers did everything they could at the time. Looking back, we say 6 people got injured, and I think you'd have to conclude something could have been done differently. But in the moment, they were doing what they could to prevent violence, to stop and ensure safety downtown.